Who is Winston Churchill? Winston Churchill is a Nobel Prize winner for literature for writing 6 volumes of books about World War II. The only novel he wrote was called Savrola. Savrola goes into a young man's dreams of his future. This includes political desires. Later, he wrote a biography about his father, Randolph Churchill. The biography was called Lord Randolph Churchill. Winston's writings were inspirational pieces of art during World War II. They were able to captivate the spirit of the British and express it in the most affluent way possible. He wrote volumes upon volumes upon volumes of books. Some of his writings were of his lineage. As mentioned before, he wrote about his father, but he also wrote about his grandfather, the 7th Duke of Marlborough. During his lifetime, he was also held a prisoner of war during the Boer War. He was able to escape and help in the relief of Ladysmith. The relief of Ladysmith technically started in January of 1900, when the British were defeated on Spion Kop. The Queen's return to England signaled the end of the relief of Ladysmith in June of 1909. After Churchill's escape, he became a minor celebrity in England. Winston was a very compassionate person. He could have left London during the bombing of the Germans, but instead he decided to stay, just like the many other people who were stuck.
Now come with me all the way back to the start. Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill was born on the 30th of November, 1874, near Oxford, UK. He had only one other sibling, a brother. His brother's name was John Strange Churchill, who was 6 years younger than Winston. His father, as mentioned above, was named Randolph Churchill. Randolph had a very eventful and successful political career. His son, Winston, asked him before he died if he could write his biography. Randolph later gave him the permission, but only asked that he wait until he died. He was born in 1849 and died at the young age of 45 from syphilis. Due to Winston's poor performance at Harrow Prep School, Winston did not apply to go to school at Oxford or Cambridge. In 1893, this led to his leaving for military school in Sandhurst. His strong subjects were literature, history, and fencing. After graduating from Sandhurst, Winston traveled all over the Empire of Britain. He acted as a soldier and a journalist. In 1900, Winston became a conservative of the House of Commons. This was a vital step in Winston's becoming of one of the most famous prime ministers of all time. After 4 years of being a conservative, Winston became a liberal in the House of Commons. His work as a liberal and effort to enforce social reforms created an enmity between his comrades and himself. They even considered him to be a traitor. After being a liberal, Winston became a First Lord of Admiralty. After several mistakes in World War I that were committed by Winston, he was no longer a First Lord of Admiralty. After World War I, Winston never had a steady job, but they were always government positions. While he was in these positions, he tried to warn Britain of Germany's great potential to start another world war. Britain chose to ignore his warnings and to stay out of Germany's way the best that they could.
Before the Second World War, in 1939, Churchill became unpopular for his support of Edward VIII and the abdication crisis. Edward wanted to marry a divorced woman, but it was forbidden by the Church of England. Churchill expressed these feelings of support for Edward in a letter to his friend, Bernard Baruch. In 1940, he became the Prime Minister. This occurred because Neville Chamberlain was pushed out of office. Winston was close to President Roosevelt as he inspired the country to oppose the Nazis. President Roosevelt even offered to aid Britain in their armaments. The agreement that they agreed upon was later named the Atlantic Charter. Winston lost power in 1945, but regained it in 1951 by continuously maintaining the leading voice against the Cold War. Unfortunately, Winston Churchill died on January 26, 1965.